It's that time of year again. It's time for the Leeds Zombie Film Festival, now amazingly in its 7th year running. I am the Big Daddy D, and I'll be taking you on a journey of bloodshed, broken bones and brains. And of course there's going to be plenty of booze along the way and good times to be had. This time round we had 5 films to watch through instead of 6. But what happened to the 6th film? That was taken up by a number of short independent films which are promising to be just as good as the feature length ones. All I've got to say next is, got any crackers? Because now it's time for some proper 80s cheese with LifeForce. Astronauts from the British space programme find a giant spaceship, shaped like an artichoke for some reason. Within the spaceship they find a large number of giant desiccated bat-like creatures, along with 3 perfectly preserved yet completely naked humanoid alien life forms. The decision is made to bring these humanoids back to Earth, which leads to near apocalyptic results, as not only do they have questionable morals about actually putting some bloody clothes on, but they also start sucking the life force out of people, reducing them to hideous, shrieking, mindless zombies that in turn seek out the life force of other people. Cue plenty of excessive female nudity, whirlpools of thunder, and some hilariously bad dialogue.
Despite appearances, this woman is a masochist, an extreme masochist. She wants me to force the name out of her. She wants me to hurt her. I can see the images in her mind. Do you want to stay? Otherwise, wait outside!
Not at all. I am a natural voyeur.
I should mention that the security guards point out that a naked woman is not going to be able to get out of this complex. Then offer the same naked lady space vampire a nice biscuit to stop her from escaping. Yeah, that'll work. LifeForce contains a who's who of horror movie talent behind the scenes. Directed by Toby Hooper, who not only brought us the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but also Poultrygeist, unless of course you believe Steven Spielberg directed that one. Dan O'Bannon, who co-wrote the screenplay, also wrote John Carpenter's cult Slackers in Space movie Dark Star, along with the first Alien movie, and also on Return of the Living Dead, which was also known for its excessive female nudity and gore. The special visual effects were by John Dykstra, who worked on the original TV Battlestar Galactica, as well as Star Trek the Motion Picture and Star Wars. And then, just to add to that connection to Star Trek, throw in a not yet completely bald Patrick Stewart in a performance that not only contains more ham than a deli counter, but would also prepare him well for his later assimilation into the Borg Collective. Furthermore, the movie contains a rousing, thunderous score written by Henry Mancini and performed by the London Symphony Orchestra. And, oh yes, did I mention that this film has excessive female nudity? At a time when the AIDS hysteria was approaching its height, a sexually transmitted plague certainly offered ample opportunity for use in a horror movie, just probably not one quite as batshit insane as this offering.
Yeah, it's a space vampire movie, some woman with huge knockers and a big bush gets brought to Earth and starts sucking the life force out of people and leaving them as dry, shriveled up zombie type things that explode into dust when they don't get to feed. A lot of tits and a lot of bush. Naked men, but you didn't get any dick. Patrick Stewart's always brilliant. Piss funny. You know, he did get a bit possessed, and you know, he did nearly snog another man in it, so...
Ooh, lovely. And let's be honest, we've all fantasised about that, haven't we?
He was inhabiting the role. It was definitely Shakespearean in context. Tits and bush, tits and bush.
Tits and bush, that's all we need to say. The Battery is an independently made post-apocalyptic road movie that focuses on 2 former baseball players, Ben and Mickey, as they try to survive in a world plagued by the living dead, as well as each other. The 2 of them travel across the back roads of Connecticut in order to avoid most of the zombies currently swarming around the place. And this particular zombie drama indeed focuses less on the shuffling deadheads themselves and more on the relationship between the 2 men, who have different ways of coping with the end of the world. Mickey tries to tune out his current situation by retreating into his headphones to listen to music, a bad habit that Ben believes will get them both killed. Mickey dreams of things going back to the way they once were, and upon hearing a female voice on his walkie-talkie, decides that he wants nothing more than to try and find her. Of course, it's possible that he has other reasons. Some would even say urges to find this woman, judging by one awkward scene involving a busty female zombie. Mind you, the fact that the zombie chick gets her head blown apart by Ben, whilst Mickey was, well, stroking his, was probably a bit off-putting. Mickey also refuses to kill, which becomes a task and an ongoing bone of contention that falls to Ben, who has seemingly embraced the increasingly feral and lawless lifestyle of being a zombie-slaying Bear Grylls. You certainly get the impression that he and Mickey have been out there, surviving for quite a while. Ben has saved Mickey's life on more than one occasion, and it's almost like he has to act as a surrogate father to him at times. If this was a father and a young son trying to survive against the zombies, then this could be excused. But the fact that these are two grown men makes it all the more difficult for them. Although there are some moments where it plays out like a bad soap opera, like The Walking Dead has had a tendency to do recently, and that there's very little gore and action throughout, the emotionally charged atmosphere throughout the film is definitely the stuff of horror, in particular during the film's third act, where the lad's Volvo station wagon becomes their own mini-prison. So despite its low budget, or perhaps because of it, the battery is an emotional roller coaster that's simply a must-see. It might be a little slow in places, but the battery shows that you don't need a big budget and good-looking Hollywood stars, World War Z, in order to tell a compelling story. In fact, it does tell you about what happens to those people who do survive the apocalypse. Here, it's not the zombies, but a lack of purpose that's the real killer here. Cheryl here has run the Leeds half marathon in full zombie gear and then still came to the zombie film festival because that's the type of trooper that she is. And there's the medals to prove it. Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead. Well, whoever the town planners are for Tromaville, they should have been sacked by now. As if building a nuclear power plant next to the high school wasn't enough, they decided to build a fast food restaurant on top of an Indian burial site. As a result, we get projectile vomiting, explosive diarrhea, bumping tacos, zombie finger butt plugging, oh, and it's a musical as well. Be warned, this is one of those movies that may very well make you a vegetarian. I don't think I've ever seen so much blood, gore, puke, and yes, shit being sprayed around the place at once. Politically incorrect and proud of it,
the chicken has declared jihad on us all!
Poultrygeist did at one point look as if it was going to be the last ever Troma movie. If that was the case, then they certainly would have gone out with their heads held high, a song in their heart, and a zombified finger up their arse.
Everything you expect from a Troma movie, really. And we all look, well, I love Troma movies. Zombie fingers up the arse.
Yeah, it was the funniest film so far today, definitely.
Projectile vomiting, explosive diarrhea, you know.
Dry humping. That's something I haven't seen in a movie ever.
To be honest, I think that should have been the last film of the night, because the last film of the night's going to be World War Z, and I'm not that bothered about it, to be honest with you. I'd rather World War Z would have been the one before lunch, and Poultrygeist would have been the one we finished on, but...
We usually finish with a comedy, so it's kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
But again, conspiracy theories, he didn't say come back to World War Z, he said they got one more film to show.
So, I mean, Keel's hoping against hope that instead of World War Z, they'll show Burial Ground again. I hope so.
That would be immense.
That would be a fantastic way to end the night. But we'll see.
I may even cry if that happens.
Speaking of which, we have 2 minutes to down our thoughts.
Right.
All I did was watch the
Cheers.
So we've just had a series of short films, the highlight of which was Fist of Jesus, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, Fist of Jesus was well.
There was one called Nostalgia Z, which shows that the zombies are actually nostalgic towards certain things, such as barbecues and things like that. If that was a TV series, I'd actually watch it because that was really good. There was one called Cargo as well, where a father's carrying his son around and the father slowly turned into a zombie, and that was actually quite touching. I thought that was very good. And then there's one called Radio Silence as well.
Yeah, Radio Silence was quite interesting. It was proper survival horror, but with kind of like a bit of a mental twist. Yeah, I enjoyed that one. A bit bleak though, really.
It was very bleak. It was very...
And there was another short film called Braids as well, which basically had like a family of zombies, and they're all talking, and they had subtitles at the bottom, so that was funny. And they were like living in fear of a human attack. And then there was Dominic Brunt's short film as well, some shell shots. We didn't quite catch all of that because we were just coming in from the pub, but that looked really good as well. What was your favourite short film, Mick?
I liked the last two actually. Fist of Jesus and Amazing.
Fist of Jesus.
And if that sequel is true, then the credits.
Once Upon a Time in Jerusalem, yeah, I hope so.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Blu-ray release or a DVD release.
I was hoping that when they said they were going to do some short films, I thought, I hope Fist of Jesus is one of them. And when it started playing, I was like, yes, yes. So we're having a quick pint, and then we're going off for the next film, which is Stalled. Next up, Stalled. During a work Christmas party, the toilet repairman is doing a few fixes in the ladies' bogs. We soon find out that this lonely and socially awkward man likes nothing more than to spend his hours in there, perving on the women that come in to use the crapper. It's here that he watches two women sharing a tongue sandwich before one of them suddenly starts to eat out the other. And no, not in the way he was hoping to see. Yet, nothing puts her down on a Christmas party more than the zombie apocalypse, putting in an unwelcome appearance. And with more and more of the undead now starting to congregate in the same ladies' room, our hero is faced with the prospect of having the most mundane and most awful seat imaginable to watch the end of the world from. Stalled is a low-budget British zombie comedy, and you know what, we've certainly had a lot of those since Shaun of the Dead. The DVD cover would certainly like you to think that Stalled is a worthy successor to Shaun. To be honest, it's not really in the same league. The humour in this is more like an American film, with a number of those poop and fart jokes and gratuitous pop culture references that the Yanks seem to enjoy so much. Still, there's plenty of demented, blood-soaked moments in there in order to keep the gorehounds happy.
There's zombies in your toilet!
So Pete, you're literally giving me the DVD at the festival. He's literally giving me the DVD to keep. What was it that you didn't like about Stalled? Or what did you like about Stalled?
I liked its title, and that was it.
The title and that?
No, seriously. They were okay, but that is deceiving. When you've got Shaun of the Dead on it, nothing to do with it. Not even remotely.
A worthy successor to Shaun of the Dead, it says on the DVD.
It does say, it does absolutely, and it's not that, and it wasn't bad. It should have been about 50 minutes instead of an hour. Well,
maybe a short movie.
It should have been a short movie, sir, yeah. It's 84 minutes.
84 minutes.
It should have been 50, 60. And I know for a fact he takes a knee in it, he takes an ecstasy pill. Now I've read and I've heard a rumour that once you have an ecstasy pill, it lasts for about 12 to 13 hours. Now in this, it lasts for 15 minutes, and it takes about 4 minutes to kick in. Now I've read, I mean I don't know if it's true, that it was bollocks. I didn't rate it, it's alright.
Well, thank you very much. This will sit nicely next to Pontypool and Zombie Strippers and the Dawn of the Dead Ultimate Edition that you've already given me in previous years. So thank you very much, Pete.
Thank you very much,
and
David.
Thank you for doing this piece for the Big Daddy D.
He's a very nice man.
Oh, that's Next up, World War Z, or World War Z, or whatever. Unlike the novel's collection of stories, which tells the story of the zombie apocalypse from different sides and from different perspectives, the film version instead just has us following around Brad Pitt, because apparently he's the only man on the planet who can seek out the origins of the outbreak and save us all. Well, whoop-de-fucking-do. With such a streamlined plot, it's not a surprise that other elements were changed from the book as well. The book stuck to traditional slow zombies and created a fantastic story that charted the history of the zombie apocalypse. Director Mark Foster and producer/star Brad Pitt basically said bollocks to all that and basically took these ideas and threw most of it in the bin. The slow zombies are out, and now we've got the fast zombies that we saw in the likes of 28 Days Later. If that wasn't enough, then the gorehounds are going to be somewhat disappointed with this movie, even with this version that we saw here, which is apparently called the unrated edition and is only available on Blu-ray. However, it has to be said, the horror here is more psychological. I have to admit,
Never before have we seen the zombie apocalypse at such speed and at such great numbers, even if they are mostly CGI'd and pile on top of each other like fucking ants. Yeah, okay. Of course, that is the only scary part of the film. The level of threat itself is virtually non-existent, as we all know that Mr. Pitt is going to end up safe and sound despite how many weird and wonderful problems he faces en route, and that any subsidiary characters he comes across are literally just there to be chomped upon. And whilst the introduction of a central character does help to connect some of the ideas of the book, it also has the curious effect of narrowing the global scale of the crisis. By the time we get to the third act, which completely changes the original ending and has Brad Pitt creeping around an abandoned hospital somewhere in Wales, of all places, the once epic scope has now decelerated into something virtually indistinguishable from any other zombie movie. So it all ultimately ends up as a very predictable big budget romp which delivers what it says on the tin, but is way, way short of being a zombie movie masterclass. It's almost like Hollywood realised that everyone was getting fed up with vampires and werewolves after all that twice-shite bollocks, and said, hey, zombie movies are really popular at the moment, so let's do a really, really big one. But then had no idea how to actually go about doing it. So they just picked up one of the most popular zombie-themed novels at the time and used that as the basic idea. I suppose it's enjoyable enough, but the novel, it certainly isn't. Try and put the book out of your mind and you'll probably enjoy it. That's a big probably.
Right. World War Z, Director's Cut and Original Cut. Bollocks!
Well, I was going to say, fuck you, Brad Pitt, your film shits, the science is impossibly implausible, and I wish you'd have died of whatever you'd infected yourself with. There.
It's just so perfectly fallen into place, like, the only virus that Brad Pitt has got is the look virus from Red Dwarf. His perfect family, right, they managed to find an RV that still has the keys in the ignition and a fucking gun. If it's that good, then why was the RV abandoned in the first place? Then he survives the plane crash, doesn't he? Everyone else dies except for him.
And the invasion of Israel.
And the invasion of Israel. Oh yeah, by the way, there's helicopters flying about all over the place. Yeah, it's when people start singing that the zombies go, ooh, there's noises over there, yeah? And then when he's creeping around the hospital in Cardiff, he shoots himself up with the first thing that he comes across, and that miraculously just happens to be the virus that's going to protect him. Bollocks.
Bollocks.
Absolute bollocks.
And then they happen to have the cure as well,
yeah,
that they can inject him with afterwards.
We were sat there and everyone kept going,
But he's fit!
Fuck this movie!
But he's fit!
I don't care if he's fit!
I don't care if he's fit!
Doctor Who was in it!
He's fit!
Should have finished with Poultrygeist.
Yeah.
Should have finished with Poultrygeist. In fact, do you want to say your reaction to Poultrygeist? Because you've been wanting to have Poultrygeist in the festival for a few years now. What would you like to say about Poultrygeist?
I would like to say, Poultrygeist. I've been begging for this film since I first saw it 3 years ago. It has everything. It's a musical. It's a porn film. It's social commentary. It's sick and twisted and absolutely wonderful.
And it'll guarantee to offend everyone. It's got projectile vomiting, explosive diarrhea, blood puke, some of the most outrageously inventive deaths I've ever seen.
It's got
Ron Jeremy.
Yeah.
Ron Jeremy.
Ron Jeremy, thank you.
Yeah. Gratuitous full frontal female nudity.
That's right. We did get a bit of full frontal male nudity in the battery as well, didn't we?
We did, I was very pleased.
Which makes a change. But yeah, should have finished on Poultrygeist rather than World War Z. But other than that, no complaints at the Leeds Zombie Film Festival.
Some of the shorts were marvellous.
Oh, they were brilliant. Fist of Jesus.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. Liked Nostalgia Z. The one with the...
oh yes.
With the barbecue.
Family.
Yes. The family, yeah. That was good. And if that was a TV series, I would seriously watch that. But yeah, until next time, we are signing out for the Leeds Zombie Film Festival. Until next time, we bid you goodbye.